Hello and welcome to my channel. Well, this is a beginner stitch for you guys that, you're starting to learn how to crochet. It's a very easy stitch to do. It's reversible, so you can do blankets, scarves, hats, whatever you want to do. Well, this stitch has, let's say, in a way, 2 rows repeat. That's it. Okay, so let's do the stitch. Well, with this stitch we're gonna chain even numbers, so I chain here 12. I have 12 chains. What we're gonna do, we're gonna skip the first chain, and in the second chain from the hook we're gonna go in there and let's give it a nice border. So yarn over the hook, and we're gonna make into the second chain from the hook a half double crochet. So insert your hook into the chain, pull up a loop, you have 3 loops, grab the yarn and pull the yarn through all these 3 loops, and that is a half double crochet. Yarn over the hook, we move to the next chain and we do a half double crochet, and we're gonna do half double crochets in all chains until we finish the row. So yarn over the hook, move to the next chain, pull up a loop, you have 3 loops, grab the yarn and pull the yarn through all these 3 loops, and so on. We're gonna do like this until we finish the chains. Well, it's a very, it looks a little bit like the crunch stitch, but the crunch stitch has more defined style. But this one, if you work with, let's say, a bigger crochet hook than the yarn recommends, I think it's nicer. So we have 2 more chains left, and we're gonna do half double crochet. Okay, last chain, half double crochet, chain 1. And now what we're gonna do, turn your work, the first stitch is here, we're gonna go in there and we're gonna do a double crochet. So put your yarn over the hook, go into the stitch, pull up a loop, you have 3 loops. Now grab the yarn and pull the yarn through the first, these 2 loops. Grab the yarn and pull the yarn through the last 2. Move to the next stitch and we're gonna do a slip stitch. So insert your hook in there, pull up a loop, and now you're gonna take this loop and pass it through this one, the first one. So when you do the, let's say when you do the slip stitch, make sure that this loop here, it's a little bit loose, because it's this one that we're gonna go into next row, and if it's too tight you're gonna struggle. So leave it a little bit loose, go into the next stitch, pull up a loop and pass that through the first loop. Yarn over the hook, the next stitch we're gonna do a double crochet, and we're gonna alternate like this until the end of the row. So the next stitch is slip stitch, so leave this a little bit loose, pull up a loop and pass this loop through this one, and that is a slip stitch. Next stitch is double crochet. It's a very easy stitch, it's not much complicated. So the next stitch is going to be a slip stitch. Go in there, pull up a loop, pass this loop through this one, yarn over the hook, the next stitch is double crochet, and you're going to alternate like this, 1 double crochet, 1 slip stitch. Next one is slip stitch, then next stitch is double crochet, so you have left 2 stitches here, so the next stitch is going to be a slip stitch. So the way you started with a double crochet in the beginning, you're going to finish with double crochet. So the last stitch is here, yarn over the hook, and we're going to do a double crochet. And always this one, sometimes, not always, but sometimes it's stubborn. So go in there into the last stitch and do a double crochet, chain 1, turn your work, and now because we finished with double crochet the last chain, when we turn the work, the first stitch we're gonna do slip stitch. So you go in there, pull up a loop, and pass the yarn through that first loop. So what you're going to do, the double crochet, you're going to do it into the slip stitch from the previous row, and the slip stitch, you're going to do it into the double crochet from the previous row. So the next stitch is here, the slip stitch. That's why I said it's good to leave that loop a little bit, let's say, loose when you do the slip stitch, otherwise you're going to struggle. So the next stitch is double crochet. So we go in there, pull up a loop, 2 loops, pass the yarn through the first 2 loops, pass the yarn to the last 2. The next one is going to be a slip stitch. So we're going to do the slip stitch on top of the double crochet from the previous row. So this one should be a little bit loose when you do the slip stitch, otherwise you're going to struggle. Okay, yarn over the hook, the next stitch is right here, this one, so we're going to do a double crochet. So the next one is slip stitch, and you're going to do like this, on and on and on. The next one is double crochet. Yeah, you're going to have to be careful with the stitch that you have to do the double crochet, because you see it's really tucked in, and sometimes you're going to miss it. So the next one is going to be slip stitch. The next one, it's here, so we're going to do a double crochet. The next stitch, it's here, we're going to do a slip stitch. The next stitch is a double crochet, it's right here, the stitch, this one. And the last stitch is here, so we're going to do a slip stitch. We started with slip stitch and we finish with a slip stitch. So now chain 1, turn your work, and because we finished with a slip stitch, the next row when you're going to start after you turn your work, it's going to be a double crochet. So it's right here, the stitch, it's right here, this one. So yarn over the hook, go into that stitch. Yeah, you see, if it's not loose enough, you're gonna struggle. So we do a double crochet. Then the next stitch is here, this one. Okay, this one. So that is gonna be a slip stitch. Yarn over the hook, move to the next stitch, it's right here, do a double crochet. Next stitch, it's here, it's slip stitch, so leave this a little bit loose. Yarn over the hook, the next stitch, it's right here, so we're gonna do a double crochet. So you're gonna alternate like this. Next one is slip stitch. Next one, it's double crochet, it's right there. So you will know when to do double crochet and when to do a slip stitch. Sometimes you're going to put your work down and attend some other things, and when you come back you're going to be like, which one I was supposed to do. So this one, the tiny one right here, is the double crochet. You're always going to put a double crochet on top of the slip stitch from the previous row, and slip stitch on top of the double crochet from the previous row. So the next one is slip stitch, and the last one, it's right here, the stitch, this one. So we're gonna go in there and we're gonna do a double crochet. We started with double crochet, we finish with double crochet. Chain 1, and you start again, because you finish with double crochet. Now when you turn your work and you start a new row, it's gonna be a slip stitch. And you can see when you have the slip stitch, it's very loose here, the opening board to go underneath. So you go in there and you slip stitch. Next one, it's here, you're gonna do a double crochet. I think I'm gonna finish this row and I will stop. So the next stitch, you see, it's right here, it's big enough for you to do the slip stitch. So leave this one a little bit loose. The next one, it's double crochet, it's right here. Yeah, it's a very nice design, nice stitch. So the next one is slip stitch. The next one is double crochet. The only change that you're gonna do is gonna be in the beginning of the row. When you finish with the double crochet, then the next row you have to start with a slip stitch. So the next one is slip stitch. The next one is double crochet. So the next one is slip stitch. So leave this a little bit loose, that when you have to go next row, it's gonna be easy for you to poke into it. The next one is double crochet. Yeah, you're gonna have to be careful with this one because it's so small and it's tucked in. It's kind of hiding in there. Sometimes you might miss it. So the last stitch is here, this one. So we're gonna go and do a slip stitch. We started with slip stitch, we finish with slip stitch. Chain one, and then you're gonna start again. Because you finish with a slip stitch, the next row, yarn over the hook, the stitch is right here, this one. You're gonna start with a double crochet. And you're gonna alternate like this. Leave it loose a little bit. The next stitch is slip stitch. And so on. And you're gonna do like this on and on and on. But it's very easy for you guys, the beginners. And well, the border, it's the sides is a little bit straight in a way. And like this. It's straight enough. So you can do this. It's really nice. Maybe you don't see so well with these colors that I'm using now, but it's really nice for a scarf or a blanket. You can or a cowl or infinity scarf. It's really nice. Okay guys, well, thank you for watching. Give it a try to this stitch and see you next time. Bye.